Okay.
406.
The thinking on doing this meeting was, I wanted to explore ways that the Berlin Senior Citizens Group and the Berlin Council on Aging can work together. We are wanting to serve the same constituency, so it makes sense for economy of motion and effectiveness to be on the same page. I have, in the process of doing that, gone around, actually, Ron and Fran and I went over to Clinton's senior center yesterday and checked in with them to see programs that they offer, how they operate, how their COA operates, who supports the group, who works with them, and so forth. It was very impressive. It's not something, it's sort of a star in the sky. It's not something that we have coming down the pike where somebody donates a monster Victorian mansion for us to
Oh, it was
use.
not donated, the town bought it.
Right, they used it for senior housing, and then they gave it to the COA afterwards. COA used to work out of a storefront on the main drag, I'm told. So this is quite a sea change, to say the least. And then also after that, I phoned Hudson, phoned Northborough, and phoned Lancaster to see what they're doing. Transportation-wise, support group-wise, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to hear anyone's thoughts on how these two groups can work together. And also found out in the process of doing that, if they have other groups who work with them, yes, what is the name of them? Most of them are called Friends of, or they're either Friends of the COA or Friends of the, in some cases, Senior Center. And most of them raise funds, and I asked who distributes the funds. Then in the case of Clinton, I believe the funds, well, first of all, they said that the support group there, wasn't that your impression, Fran, that the support group there isn't really wild about raising funds?
It seems like they have raised plenty, but they don't like to spend it.
Yeah,
No, they wanted to spend it the way they wanted to
Yeah.
spend it.
Probably.
yeah, they had, I think they had 30,000
Ooh.
bequeathed or
To me, it
something.
was a fractured relationship between the Friends of the Council for Aging and the Council for Aging organization.
And
That this group of friends has $30,000 in their bank account,
Really?
and it was given to them.
Somebody,
Some rich man in California, when they took over the building, gave them some money.
it was Ronald Reagan, I think.
And it's their money, and they spend it on programs that they would like the COA in Clinton to put on for them.
Okay.
They don't, I got the impression, they just don't give money
To the COA.
COA.
I think
They
part
give
of
it to them when there's a program that they want.
yeah, I think part of it is there's a personality clash between the director and the person who was president of the Friends.
The
That was part
director,
of it.
director seemed to indicate, at least this was my feeling, and Fran and Ron, you can correct me, the director in that case runs the programs,
Yes.
uses the money that they come into and distributes it and allocates it how it works best for them, or for the senior program. Again, they're all working for the same group of people, so you'd think it would be fairly straightforward that it would get into programs that serve the seniors, and of course they do, but sort of independently of one another. I don't know if our two groups are able to come to some sort of agreement on a way to make a joint operation happen. The support groups typically have tax exempt status, which distinguishes them from the councils on aging, which are not a tax exempt organization and cannot accept funds, although they do receive funds from town government. In the case of Clinton, their budget is over $300,000 for the year, and they also get it from grants. Almost all of the groups that I spoke to, it sounds like I've spoken to 100 of them, 4 of them, get formula grant money, which I guess is quite common.
We
That's
get
one,
that.
one of the sources. And then they have private givers, and they have other grants that they can apply for. In the case of Hudson, there's some, I thought they said Collingswood, but it isn't the same one as the guys who fly airplanes all over the place. Out of Stowe, it's a different benefactor, and he has a program where you can apply for, these amounts are $100,000 you apply for, and in their case, they're applying it to buy 2 vans.
Really?
So that Hudson runs 3 vans. Also, what differs between these groups is that some of them have mostly volunteers, and some, like Clinton, has, I want to say, where did I have that? 7 or 8 paid positions.
Really?
Yeah. And Northborough has fewer. That's Lancaster, that's Hudson. Hudson has 1 director, 2 social service people, 1 part-time, 1 full-time driver, and 2 part-time drivers. And there's a whole other thing, this isn't addressing the initial issue, which I'd still like to really dive into, but there's also a whole thing about transportation. As you know, we're talking about Berlin getting a newer van, and George, I think, smartly said, if you get a new van, hang on to the old one in case you have a breakdown of the new one, then you got something to back it up with. But there's this thing about territory with the WRTA, their vans, if they are supplying and scheduling them, they have to stay within their territory, or at least that's the way it appears. But I finally took the advice of somebody and went on Mass Councils on Aging, and there's a whole section on transportation in which I think there's an outfit in the Berkshires where a number of towns with different transportation entities have worked out a system where this town picks up somebody here and here and here and takes them there, and the other town does the same. So they work out cooperatively. So it's not like a mountain too high to climb. It just takes some thoughtful research, yeah, and working out a way.
I have a question about
Yes, ma'am.
the Council on Aging in other towns and the
Yep.
relationship to the Friends. Was the Council on Aging, did that come first, and then they got a senior center, and then they got the Friends of the Senior Center, or Friends of the Council on Aging?
I wish you'd been around when I wrote down my questions to
I
ask.
know, I
you.
just thought of it now. Because what happened in Berlin is there was a senior
Right,
group that
right.
called an age club, which became the Berlin Senior Center of Berlin Senior Citizens Association. And then the Council on Aging was appointed by the selectmen. So,
Right.
it's a little bit of a difference there,
Well, and the COA is a town department,
Right,
and they're,
right. And if
Members
they
are
came
appointed
first
for
and then the Friends came second, well, that gives them a different relationship.
yeah. Yeah, there's some ownership of a history
Right.
of a group that's been around for a long time.
Mhm.
What else was learned? Yeah, they have different, like, Hudson has a COA board of 9 members, I think Lancaster does too. And Boylston, for instance, has 4. So there's different compositions all around. But they all seem to have a group who works with them, sometimes harmoniously and apparently sometimes not so much, in the support concept. So the question is, what's possible in Berlin?
Might we ask, what do we want to achieve? What does the Council on Aging want to achieve with where seniors are concerned? And what do the seniors want to achieve? And once we figure that all out, how can we work together to those regards? So, as the Berlin senior citizens, okay, our objective pretty much is to socialize, keep a social atmosphere available, okay? And this is why I thought it would be a good idea to bring in Abby, because she's close to all this too. I think her objectives are pretty much the same. But one thing I think that we as the seniors have been looking forward to is introducing something that is going to attract a younger member, okay, prospective member, okay?
Is there a
Meaning-
lower age limit to it? Have to be over a certain age?
55 plus is considered a senior with the Berlin seniors, 55 and over.
Okay, most of the COAs are 60 or 62 and over.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
So
think
maybe
the
that's something that
newsletter
could be
goes out to
amended.
people that are 60. The newsletter goes out to people that are 60
Right.
or over, right?
so, that's something that maybe we could work on, maybe changing that if we're gonna work together so that you can attract possibly younger
That's
citizens.
when, if that's a rule that
How
comes
much
from the state. How
I
much
don't know.
younger we just adopted.
I don't know, but that's something that perhaps somebody in the COA can figure out, okay? As far as the Berlin seniors, I know we're antsy to get trips going, something that's going to really bring the people outside more and get them together and have fun and go to plays, go to restaurants and, maybe at Christmas time, take a bus trip someplace that, you could enjoy dinner and this, or maybe a movie, movie night. But what we seem to be hitting constantly, okay, is an obstacle where transportation is concerned. Are we ever, this is the question, are we ever going to be able to use the new van, the old van, okay, or bus, okay, to transport people other than for appointments and shopping trips and this and that? Are we ever going to be able to utilize those vehicles for the purpose of entertainment?
Yeah.
That's
Why
certainly,
not?
Question.
yeah,
If we have them and we have drivers.
Well, I think the WRTA
right.
has something to say about this.
They do if they maintain ownership and maintenance and scheduling, as they do for one or two of the towns around us. If we accept ownership and we maintain it and we schedule it, we can go to Florida now and again, or New Brunswick, whatever we like, but around wherever it fits our schedule and objectives.
But then we'd have to do pretty much an analysis of what it would cost us to do all the things that the RTA is doing for us. How much is that?
Well, they aren't scheduling now, we are. And they aren't paying maintenance, we are.
We are?
Yeah, and we own it. We just did a $900 brake job on the van because it croaked at the Market Basket.
So what are they doing then? Just,
They apparently handle the acquisition of the vans. I'm not sure why that's critical, but they do.
okay.
Maybe they
and-
get a bargain if they buy 1,000 vans, they get it for, $5 off a van, or I don't know how it works, but
But
they,
the van actually belongs, or the bus belongs to the town of Berlin?
The one we have
Right
now
now.
does.
yeah.
But it's not
Yeah, the
an
town of
RTA
Berlin,
money.
bought
Then-
with town money. Did you
This
ask
is a
about
no-brainer.
Clinton? Do they own their van or do they?
There's,
I don't think.
I don't think they do. They have 3 vans, I want to say, and they have their own scheduler. Compared to Clinton, right.
Right, who's at the Council on Aging Diligence Center?
Well, I know the WRTA does because it has WRTA painted all over the van, so you know it's theirs.
But I remember reading an article in the newspaper that the WRTA was giving Clinton a van. They were not providing Clinton with a van, they were giving Clinton a van. Now, I don't know what giving means in that context.
Clinton, WRTA services Monday to Friday, 8:15 to 2:30. They have, where did I write that? They have 2 vans, 5 regular drivers, and 3 per diem, plus a dispatcher. All of them are CPR and first aid qualified. Their pay rate's the same as ours. Well, they're actually 2 cents cheaper, so we'll probably get all the drivers coming to us. $14.97 an hour. And we pay $14.99. But theirs also goes up. There's one driver who's been there for 10 years, and he's making $17.34 an hour. They also all do core checks. WRTA maintains ownership, and they maintain the vans.
They do, okay.
And they get reimbursed for gas and stuff, don't they?
Yeah. They reimburse, in 2019, they reimbursed $48,000 in expenses. And what they do is WRTA hires the Clinton COA to run the buses. And there are fees involved in riding it, but they're cheapo for riding in town. They add a small amount. I mean, you know, you take a bus in Worcester, it costs more for a one-way in Worcester anywhere than it does for a round trip here. If they go outside of Clinton, it adds a little bit to the cost.
Yeah, right.
So is that something that we could do, is look into having them do the same for us and actually taking ownership?
I think, isn't Margaret looking into that?
She is, and I'm going to as well. I want to know, this is the first time I actually looked into, in the Magic Pad here, looked into Mass Council on Aging and seeing what their strategies are for transportation, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. In cases where they found, for instance, that having, I think Acton and Boxborough and, I was just reading it, I didn't write it down, and another town have a joint operation where they have, because they combine their activities, they're not paying their own dispatchers, and because they're combined, they have 2 full-time dispatchers, which helps them because they can field calls for longer during the day, and since they're full-time, they get to know the callers, and they have a sense of where everything is. That's the one glitch in having a regional thing, is the drivers have to be familiar with.
The areas.
I mean, you got the lady in the dashboard and all things now, but it's, it certainly helps. The personal aspect of it helps. A lot of people have said that they like the fact that they know who's driving the van in town.
Right.
So I think transportation issues are definitely solvable. It's been dragging way the heck too long so far.
It is dragging way too long. I really want to put this to bed.
But I think transportation is one issue.
It
I
is
think we
one
should-
issue.
Right, I think we should go back to what you said at first, is what does the Council on Aging want to provide for seniors, and what do the senior citizens want to
Exactly. What are
provide?
our objectives? I know our objectives are for pleasure, and it hasn't been so much, it's about covering our costs, you know, and our fees, our membership fees have done that pretty much, but we're coming to a point, and I'll refer to Ron about this. Would you say we're coming to a point where we are gonna have to rely on fundraising in order to keep our coffers sufficient?
But that's a few years away. And I
It's a
think
few
there's
years
enough-
away, but
There's
it's,
enough money there to,
Yeah, as
And
long
if-
as we're careful.
yeah, and as long as as far as the entertainment goes, rely on the town's cultural council program, which can fund some of our programs, we could go 3 or 4 years. And fundraising, I think it's going to be very difficult for our group to do fundraising.
And why would you say that?
because of the age of the members and the audience that we're trying to serve. The Friends of the Library, it's easy for them.
Right.
I mean, we earn about $4,000 a year, and pretty close to spend the $4,000 a year. But we have 3 audiences. We have, well, maybe 4 little kids.
Right,
Then we have a little bit bigger kids.
right.
Then we have teens. Then we have adults. And we try also to include programs for some seniors too. We have membership. We sell books. We sell Christmas, I'll call it an ornament. We are going to run a garden program. So we have these opportunities, but we have a small board, but we've got
A very
48
audience.
dues-paying members who put on their applications, call me, call me to do things. I don't think we could do that.
Right,
Does your planning program include planting money trees?
yeah, that would be good.
Not yet.
Not yet. Work on
You're
it.
working on it,
You know,
yeah.
one of the big problems that the Senior Citizens Association has is the one thing they do is on a Thursday, you know, when people are working. You know, and I guess for a while there, we were talking about providing other programs at other times. And then we kind of ran into, you know,
Volunteers and this and that. How you
volunteers and
gonna
money and
do it?
everything.
You know,
And then we were approached about becoming the Friends and becoming fundraisers, so all of that kind of, you know, and then we got Council on Aging Director, who was gonna do a lot of things and everything. So,
okay, I think I may have a possible solution to that, okay? But I don't want to stray too far from objectives, you know, because other objectives that the seniors have would be for health and welfare of the seniors. That too is a special interest of ours, okay? We need to identify those things first, write them down, okay? And then ask the Council on Aging if they have anything that varies from what we're trying to achieve and what our objectives are. But, getting back to that, I think that once we decide how we can work together, Council on Aging and the seniors, then we can bring in the rest. We can bring in the library, we can bring in 19 Carter, we can bring in different organizations, okay, that might cater to younger kids, or the recreation committee. We can bring them in, but what we do is once we have this consortium, so to speak, okay, we come up with like a plan, what we want to do for the year, what we would like to do, and we'd like to employ more people into our ideas, the library, you know, and the people that they attract, and so that we can all work together. But I think we gotta start right here.
yeah. Well, I think, okay, so I think the number of seniors that actually take advantage of the programs that the Council on Aging provides, and the number of people that come to our lunch is a minute percentage. We get about 40 people at lunch.
Yeah.
How many people are taking Tai Chi and yoga? It's like a small percentage. There's about 800 seniors in town.
I think over 60,
where are they?
there's over 1,000.
1,000, right.
Yeah.
And where are they?
One interesting, this is just a side to that, one interesting thing that we saw at the Clinton Senior Center is the director had this chart on the wall, and it had this little bar thing showing the ages of citizens in town. So from 0 to whatever, 4 or 5 was this high, and then the next group was a little bit higher, and the next group, and then you get to the 40, 50, 60, ching, 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 like this.
Really?
And then 70 to 80 and 80 to 90. But as she was pointing out, this group is going this way.
Yeah.
So at some point in the not distant future, the number of people in the demographic for COAs is going to be much higher and require more services provided.
It's true, but I think by in trying to get more groups involved in this, okay, will satisfy perhaps, let's face it, older people, seniors, mid-life ages and teenagers and toddlers. There are some things that they all enjoy. Like you can say maybe having like a fun fair or something like this. There's things that they all these age groups enjoy. And that's where we can all work together towards doing this and maybe raising funds that we can distribute, to like the Council on Aging, to the seniors, to the library, to 19 Carter, working together towards, getting people to wake up, to become alive. I came up with a few ideas before, but I guess we can't do a skating rink. Or
This was a
somebody
bad year
said
for
we
skating.
couldn't. This would have been a
Yeah.
bad winter for it, but, like I said, do you know how many people would enjoy, even, seniors would enjoy going down for a day of skating? You could even have Victorian dress. You could have people dressed in Victorian clothing, skating, or you could have Disney characters skating with the little kids. And you could sell hot chocolate, donuts, hot dogs.
It takes so
whatever.
much organization
Yeah.
and volunteers.
It does. This is one of our problems. That if you get,
Huh?
if you can zone in
Yeah.
on those
I know. I'm not
those
going to
younger
do
people that are interested in this and pique their interest,
it. Right.
along with the help of the recreation committee.
Yeah.
There are multi-generational things that can certainly happen. We've had Old Home Day, and there are towns that have,
Yeah, but it doesn't have
Fair-
to fall
fairs.
just with that.
it doesn't what?
Have to fall just with that kind of a thing.
No,
You
I'm not
could
saying
have
it
a
does.
movie.
I'm saying there can be multi-generational
Right.
things, activities going on. It doesn't have to be all specifically for seniors.
Right.
One of the points of that question, excuse me, the points of the questionnaire that I circulated among all the departments and so forth is to see what the town now offers seniors. We've got almost all of that information back, even though some of it's a month old at this point. They still haven't responded. But most of them have. When that's all laid out, then we see what is on the table now and what needs to be filled in. And then it's possible to see, okay, of the things we aspire to do, who's already doing some of those? 19 Carter certainly is a socialization.
Right.
And Evie has a whole cadre of volunteers who
Right.
make that happen, not happy. They also make them happy.
Yeah.
But the, Evie will be the first to point out that a big part of the success of 19 Carter is that the volunteers feel needed and they're providing a good service and they're appreciated
Yeah.
and they are kept busy.
Right.
I-
And another thing too is if you go to 19 Carter, you go to tea on Monday or Thursday, you go to soup on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Mm.
you go to coffee hour Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Guess who's there? Seniors.
Yeah.
And I was talking to some people at the Lions Club lunch, and they're saying, gee, we got to get some social things going for here in town. I said, well,
Right.
have you tried 19 Carter? They had no idea that 19 Carter offered all of these things. That there are things here for seniors already, and people don't know it.
Okay, but that's my point, is when we get the study wrapped up, I hope to have a booklet that all seniors in town get, And I was trying it out on my wife, of course, she had 400 corrections to make, smart ones that I should have thought of.
Yeah.
And I had one page that asked questions like, I'm downsizing, I need to get rid of furniture, how do I do that?
Okay.
And so you go to this and this, you go to number 3, number 4, and you have a list of outfits who do different things. I want to increase my socialization. Where can I possibly do that? Well, 19 Carter and da-da-da-da-da, the seniors lunch and
Right.
trips, councils on aging
Yeah.
provide trips in many towns. A lot of them, because they have senior centers, which I don't think they're gonna have in my lifetime in Berlin, but they have senior centers. Our senior center is spread over a number of buildings. There are senior activities in the basement, or room for it in the basement here. You got 19 Carter, you got First Church, you've got the Memorial School, although that's a little tricky time-wise and so forth. So there are,
That's a disadvantage.
yeah,
You only have one spot.
yeah, one spot's kind of handy because you may say, okay, I'm done with the tea, I'd like to do something with my computer
Yeah.
or in this room. Because
Exactly.
you have to travel more in Berlin, but I think that's a realist, that is a reality, is that
I
that's
think
always.
that's where our seniors go. Our seniors were able to travel out of town to other senior centers.
That's true. And they go to North,
And I
yes.
think that's a good idea, you know, maybe having a bus to
Sure.
take people there, you know?
Sure.
Yep, yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that the study said, actually, is to see what services we provide and then see how those needs can be met, both in town with existing things and in neighboring towns. All of the COA directors I've spoken with have said, sure, they're open to collaboration, and if they charge a fee for something, the difference between a resident and a non-resident is very small.
Yeah, it is.
So you might pay $2 for your Tai Chi instead of
Yeah.
$150 or something
Yeah.
like that, same with the,
Northborough
like
does that. They charge $10 for non-residents and $5 for residents. And they have so many rooms there.
Yeah.
That you can go from one to, you can spend the whole day at Northborough. They have a what they call a men's club. It's a boar men's club, okay? They're talking about putting in a women's group also. They have exercising, they have yoga, we have a cappella singing, we have knitting, we have embroidery, we have sewing, all in one. The disadvantage here is it's not all in one.
right.
And you can't go, isn't there any building that we could get?
Well, we'll donate our house, but aside from that, I'm not sure that that's going to be a reality, and I
Yeah.
think,
In
If
all
we-
these years?
no, if we're going to talk about the possibilities, I think we ought to talk about the realities in addition
Yeah.
to the possibilities. And I think one of the realities is that if you want that many programs, you're welcome to go to Northborough, and
Yeah.
Berlin can provide those, including socialization at a number of different places. First Church, 19 Carter. We don't have a building, but we do have buildings, and some of them are already providing some of those.
And then you can always
Services.
rent, you know, if you're gonna promote, like, say, like we got Tony Funches coming, okay? If you wanted to have a night where, you know, everybody is invited, not just seniors, but we help to put that on.
Right.
Council on Aging, Berlin Seniors,
That's what we need to
promote,
do.
Yeah.
promote, the Friends of the Library, or whatever, promote this. Now, see, that's what I'm getting at. If, say, Ron, if you're with Friends of the Library, okay? They came up with an idea. We want to have a movie night, or we want to take, or we want to, yeah, maybe have a movie night at 1870 or something. Now, volunteers are a problem, but that's where we come in. Ron calls a meeting of the consortium, okay, where we all get together and you say, okay, this is what the Berlin seniors can do to help for that night, you know? And we can look for volunteers within our group. Council on Aging can do the same thing. The Recreation Committee can. Berlin Memorial School can. You know, it's not just the town offices and organizations. You can go right into the schools, and the schools will, I'm sure they want to see this kind of a thing, or maybe even competitions, or maybe if you wanted to do it like a road race. I'm not gonna run in it. I don't think you're gonna see a lot of seniors do it. But if somebody said, I'd like to see a road race here in town, what can the council on aging do? Yeah, what can you do to help get this going? What can, the library do? What can the seniors do?
Okay, with that, yes.
Going back to, well, you could go to Northborough, you can go to Hudson, you can go to Clinton. I think we need to build community here in Berlin. There's so many people
That would
that
be
I
ideal.
don't know here in town because we don't have a lot of opportunities to socialize as Berlin residents.
What would you
Well, I
point to as a gathering spot for what you have in mind?
Well, I think, okay, so you have First Parish Church, you have the 1870 Town Hall, you have 19 Carter, you have this building, the school. They're not that far apart. I mean, for me to come here is not that much of it, to go to the First Parish Church and go to
Right.
19 Carter. I mean, it's a minute or two more. So you start using all the buildings that we have.
Right.
Talk to
Yeah.
First Parish and say, can we have
We
some
want
more
your building.
events at your building?
But if you're putting on an event, and it's something that you really want to attract a different crowd, you might even approach one of the restaurants. What's it called now? It's not the Flat Penny.
On the tracks.
On the
It's a
tracks.
small place.
Okay, so it could be a small event, okay? Like they have, or they used to have the, what you say?
Trivia.
Trivia and
Oh, yeah.
also where
Oh,
people sing
karaoke?
karaoke.
Right, yeah.
Okay, you could put on different things. You could put on,
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have buildings
you
here.
can-
We don't need a senior center.
But
We
you
just
can-
need a place that
right,
we,
but you can rent that and just put that into your cost.
Senior center is more convenient because it
Right.
has everything a
Right.
room away or two
Yeah.
rooms away. You don't have to
Right.
put your galoshes on to go to the
Right.
other function.
Yeah.
But the reality is that we don't have a senior center,
Right.
and that ain't happening, that I see, anyway.
You can also rent Northborough.
Oh,
The senior center?
Well, you certainly can rent the room, $50.
Well, then you do have transportation, well, you do here anyway, because
It's easy
nobody's
enough to
gonna.
get there on Pleasant Street.
but
There's a
see,
big
that's
room there,
just
they
it.
have a
We're not
kitchen.
limited. We're not limited. You
Right.
just build that into the
Yeah.
cost, You build it all into the cost.
Right, exactly.
Uh,
I think it was really sad because somebody posted on Berlin Neighbors Connect. They've just moved into town and they wanted to know what kind of activities were there for their kids.
I saw that,
And they were
yeah.
preschoolers. I don't think one single person posted that there's library hour at the Berlin Library. They're saying you can go to Northborough Library, you can go to Clinton, no, they didn't say Clinton, you can go to Hudson and,
Okay.
they
Nobody
did
said
not,
anything.
and that just struck me that we do not take advantage of what we have here in our town.
Mhm.
And for me to think that we're gonna promote more stuff going out of town,
Yeah, I'm not promoting going out of
No.
town, I'm just saying you
Yeah.
right,
use all the capacity Berlin has, and if you
Right.
need something else that Berlin doesn't have,
Then-
but is available in a different town, then you
Yeah.
go there
Right.
for that. You're not gonna have any swimming classes in Berlin unless the North Brook floods, but other than that,
right.
Think
You'd
of
have to
all
go
the
elsewhere.
organizations we have, though, even the police department, the fire department, all these people are people that are willing to come together for something that is fun and
Townwide.
exciting
Right.
for the town. They're all willing to pitch in and help, especially the fire department and the police department. Those people are very exuberant. But you could even have, like, say in the spring, you could even have like pony rides, like Jerry,
Vern?
Byrne
Yeah.
has, I think he has pony rides at some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could have a place, maybe
I
on,
think, okay, so St. Joseph's used to do pony rides, and
Yeah.
they stopped doing it because of the liabilities.
really?
Really?
I would think that would be assumed by the people that
They-
bring the animals in.
Well, that would be a downer. I wouldn't bring mine if it was a big
Yeah,
liability thing hanging over my head.
Well, I would think that, that would be
quite
fine.
expensive.
No, I believe that's why
It
they
is
started
expensive.
One-day thing.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of entertainment, I just thought I'd throw this in. You mentioned Jerry Byrne, his family does Irish step dancing. And they have a program coming up in Bolton,
That
because
would
that's
be
where they live.
fabulous.
And
I
this
mean,
is the
that's
second
fun
time.
to
We do
watch.
it at the 1870 Town Hall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you get St. Patrick's Day coming up and
Well, years ago,
everything.
my wife actually was very much into storytelling and brought 2 or 3 storytellers to the old town hall, as well as at least one folk musician.
Right.
And that was, I
Yeah.
mean, it was a good set. And of course, now you have access for everybody, which you
Right,
didn't
years
then.
ago, you probably remember, Fran, at the town hall, they had, that woman that used to be on TV, Loretta, oh God, what was her name? Loretta
LaRouche?
LaRouche.
Oh,
She did
she's
a program at
funny.
the town hall. Oh God, it was fabulous, big crowd.
Right.
It was really
Oh,
good.
she
That
attracts
was
a lot
long
of people. She's
Yeah.
really funny.
Still working?
I don't know if she is or not.
Yeah, I think she is, because I
I
saw
don't
something
know.
recently. I thought
So
she
we
was
really-
at, in Worcester at the.
Maybe, yeah.
She
Yeah,
attracts,
so they-
she's,
Kind of
I
she
don't
would
know
bring
who brought
in
her in.
money.
I don't know who brought that.
But like for
Yes,
kids,
the Hanover Theater.
kids
I think she
another
was there.
idea. So you don't do the pony rides, you do a petting zoo.
And then
You
there
have
was-
a petting zoo.
Right.
People can bring in the animals or whatever, and it's just a little petting zoo, but you gotta have sanitizer, from what I hear now.
You have to do what to them?
You
No,
gotta
no.
have sanitizer, because
So you don't get your
Kids-
dirty
kids
hands on
have-
the horse.
No,
Kids
vice
have-
versa.
Yes, they get it on the bottom.
have you seen that on TV?
No, but I
Where kids
believe
were
it.
getting sick.
Right, well,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you go to any of the zoos, you go to
Because
Davis
they don't
Farm
clean
and they
their
have those sanitizers
Right there.
right there.
Well,
I think
my
they
wife
keep-
taught for 22 years in Acton, and they used to, originally, they used to have classroom pets, and the kids loved it.
Yes,
But
yeah.
all of a
Oh,
sudden,
yeah.
no rabbits,
Yeah.
somebody's allergic to
Yeah.
rabbits, no this, no classroom.
But I mean,
Fish,
around
but they all
Christmas
get
time, I came up with the
suicide.
idea of a Christmas tree maze, you know? Where you have donated Christmas trees, the artificial
million
ones,
things you can
whatever,
do.
okay? And you make a maze.
Mm.
And that'd be part of like an entertainment thing. But we
Christmas
gotta,
in
we gotta
Broward.
offer,
Does
we gotta
does the
offer
town have
something
any
that's
way
more
of
exciting.
getting to
Something that
every
gets your blood
every
going.
citizen in Berlin? Is there any kind of a letter that goes out and says, the library has,
Just Berlin Neighbors Connect online. We don't have a town paper.
you
It's
don't have a town
anything,
paper?
anything
Well, that
that's
is-
red would be the Clinton item.
That's what the Powder House News used to
I was gonna
do.
say, that's only as good as
The
people
Powder House
being online.
News used to
I
have
mean,
a
a lot
column.
of, are all the
Right.
seniors using
They
it?
had what was going on with the different
No.
Okay.
organizations in town. They would list the town meeting date, they would list the primary day, you know.
And does that go to every citizen in
That
Berlin?
goes to every,
It does.
well, it doesn't go, I think there are a lot of seniors that do not get the
Okay.
Powder
Well,
House
that's-
News. But,
To that point, I'm told that this, Laurie isn't here to confirm this, but I'm told that the March-April edition has 2 pages that need to be filled. And I said, and here's the one from Clinton, and I just showed you it before, it has 2 pages that are the months, okay, take the liar out of me,
right,
have the months of March and April, and it's the
Right,
whole
that's
calendar,
great.
and it tells you what's in every day. It's the
Yeah.
town stuff, it's voting, it's activities, it's
Oh, it's
social.
everything. Oh, I didn't look at
Right.
it.
That's good.
Yeah.
and that's what we need.
Somebody
That's
has
what
to,
we need.
yeah,
That's
somebody
what
has to
we
put
need.
it together.
Well, yeah,
Somebody has to put it together.
Right.
Let me hire someone.
So-
doing that again.
Right, well, Lori's doing
Laurie's-
it, but I
Laurie's-
guess that
Laurie's
whoever
doing it
does
right now.
this.
Yeah, right now I know she
I
is,
don't
yeah.
know how,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, who prints it or who prints it or who puts it together?
Liturgical press.
Well, no, I know who print, yeah,
Well, I-
who puts it together.
I don't know who
Laurie
puts it
put this one together.
Whoever
The-
put this
the
one
COA
together,
director.
I mean,
Holly was doing it, right?
I'm sorry,
I mean, who gathered all this information to
I know
go
that she's
into
gone.
this?
Yes,
I don't know who did
Doing
that
it right now,
edition.
so-
Laurie has been putting together the
Presumably.
information for this
You're right.
March, April.
Yeah,
But see, I'm saying, just because we're
Yeah,
seniors.
she is, yeah.
Okay,
Presumably,
we don't have to
once we have a
do
new director,
necessarily
we'll
senior
take
things.
that.
We
No,
can
right, I
sponsor
imagine. Yeah,
things.
yeah.
That's
We
fine.
can have a
Okay, yeah.
bicycle
Okay. Well, that's right,
safety
we just looked at
course, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Maybe through the police department or something, or the fire department.
Yeah.
Bicycle safety course. how many people would you have come to that? You'd have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And maybe if you gave out free, maybe
Helmets or
reflectors for the bikes or,
Something
know,
more expensive.
Well,
Okay,
who's gonna
so-
pay for them though?
But you need money.
Yeah,
Somebody has to pay for them.
no, sometimes you can
money
get
for
these
that
things
stuff.
donated and you
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
donated through businesses.
Right.
Do you want to stand behind?
Sponsored.
Or
Yeah,
other
and sponsor,
grants we can
yeah.
get.
well, that's also what somebody suggested about putting together a book of senior resources as you go to Clinton Savings Bank or somebody and say, would you sponsor the publishing costs of this? And then they get sent
Exactly.
out to every single senior in town.
Exactly. But I mean,
So-
I think
Yeah,
that
how
we
hard
don't
would
have
it
to
be-
stick to just that.
How hard would it be to get something like this to every citizen, every household in town, and not just the seniors?
You mean to have a town paper?
Yes.
You'd have to have more information in it than we have
I don't
now.
have enough info.
Yeah, and look who does it for Clinton.
The same, well, it's the same company that does this, I think.
Well, what I'm saying is, the Clinton item is the town paper pretty much,
Yeah, but not
okay?
everyone gets the Clinton
That's
item.
Gannett Publications now,
Right.
which is one of those fake news, shaky organizations now that are so-called fake
When
news.
you probably have to go to the town and ask for more money for that public.
Well,
Would
then
there be
you also
grant, are
need
there
to-
grants
With a-
that would sponsor
Possibly
that?
grants, but then you'd
Yeah.
have to stand up a crew to write it and publish it and put
And
it
see, we're
together.
talking about these things now. This is something, like, we can take one thing at a time and say, okay, what do we want to sponsor here as the Council on Aging, the Berlin Seniors, the Friends of the Library, 19 Carter, the police, Berlin Memorial, the fire department? What do we want to do?
I think we want something like the Clinton newsletter, where they have everybody in, all these organizations in town
Yeah.
feed in to say what's going on in town.
That's just
I
in the
think that's
case,
the important thing.
well, most of the material in here is senior oriented. The
Okay.
calendar, I believe, I haven't read every little
Yeah,
box,
Yeah,
but I believe the calendar is comprehensive. It lists important political dates and town
Right.
meeting dates and boards and all
Yeah.
that
I
stuff.
couldn't find that in there. That's
Well,
why
I
I was
think
glancing
we
through
need
it.
to
Was it
start
on?
advertising what's going on at 19 Carter,
Yeah.
what's going on with the
yes,
library,
absolutely.
what's going on with the Lions Club.
Yeah,
What's,
You know?
yes, what's going on? And we all should go to the other groups that are in on it, okay? And see what they can do to help promote it. And have a discussion every time that say, we're gonna have a honky-tonk piano guy. So I'm gonna go to the library and say, how can you promote this for us, other than just hanging
yeah.
a
sign.
poster? Can you offer volunteer help or whatever? Can the Council on Aging offer any help?
The things
How
are a lot
about,
different.
you know, just getting the word out and maybe promoting it, by talking it up.
Yeah.
The
You know,
library can
using-
do subliminal advertising by having honky-tonk background music for people who are in the library. And I go, wow, I gotta hear some more
Let
of
me
that.
introduce you to a program that the library and the Friends of the Library are putting on in March. And maybe, and go over how we're gonna
Stuff that's in bold.
publicize this program. I have a flyer over here that says, there's enough for each of you. Here is a small group called Two Human. They're a musical group, and this is their advertising. This was sent to the library. And
Here's the next one.
next one, I'll take that back then.
Let's see.
And a nice little musical program, probably about an hour and a half, an hour and 3/4. This is a program, again, sponsored by the library and with support from the Friends of the Library. There is a cost, will be no cost to the library or to the Friends of the Library, because this organization here, this Two Human,
Yeah,
applied for a Cultural Council grant and received a Cultural Council grant
okay.
through the program Mass Cultural Council and the Berlin Cultural Council. They're coming here on March 29th, a Sunday afternoon, at the town hall. And how are we gonna publicize this?
Lions Department, no, Lions Club, you can do it on their,
Signs.
We do
Their
that,
sign.
we do the
Okay.
sign.
In
in the highway
side.
department,
We
Down-
we do that.
down at the Rotary.
Three of our members of the Friends Board will go out to various locations, stores, post office, et cetera,
We do
everything.
that too.
How else are we gonna advertise this? Well, come our luncheon, the senior luncheon, I'll have on the tables a copy of this notice for each and every member. At our board meeting, come next week, I will come with a package of these flyers for you to bring up to
Thank you.
Northborough,
Yeah.
to get that out.
Okay.
The library
And I-
posts this. We post this also at 19 Carter.
I'll post this at Market Basket also.
Oh,
and
fabulous.
the various-
That's how we get the
various-
word out.
That's what I like to do.
That's how we
Can
get
I
the
offer
word out.
something though?
I was gonna say something. You should call, I think you should call Peg Stone, who's one of our selectmen,
Okay,
and ask her, when she puts information out, that she brings some to Northbrook Village for you
Okay.
to distribute. Because a lot of the people there don't get the news if they, of what's going on with the selectmen.
right. And is she in town?
Yes, she's
Stone.
a selectman in town, and she's the one of, she posts things on Berlin Neighbors Connect and everything.
Okay,
And she brings flyers to the library in 19 Carter, and I suggested that she bring them to Northbrook
Okay.
and to Meadowbrook, and she hasn't.
yeah.
So maybe the two of you could call her
Yeah.
and say, could you bring us some flyers,
Yeah.
and we will,
Because we are now posting things on the elevator, so that
Right.
and then on the first floor, so that all 3 floors are aware of what's going on. And I've been trying to make something extra, like for the luncheons, and putting them in both places, so they can't say, and it's sad, we don't have a PA system where we could say, remember that next week is the luncheon, but on the elevator and on the first floor, in the rec room, I'm even thinking of putting this kind of a poster in our washrooms on 3 floors. And if they want to come, at least it's there. The more exposure we have, the better.
right.
So I need
exactly.
as many as I can get to do that.
Right,
I wouldn't think it'd be a bad idea either to contact some of the COAs and senior centers in towns around us and either give them this or see if,
Yeah,
just gonna say-
that's a great
I was
idea.
just gonna say,
Or
what we
send
should
to us
do,
too.
what we should do is we should have some kind of a group that notifies, each of our neighboring councils, senior centers and this and that, okay?
it's almost like a phone tree you have for
We
school
should have
cancellations
something
and so
that
forth.
we circulate to get that out to each senior center between all of us.
Do we have a list of all the various things in Berlin in itself, like the Council of Aging, the memorial, all that? Is there a list of all
It's in the
these
Berlin phone book.
organizations?
The Berlin phone book has a page of all the
Do you have
organizations.
the
And also,
Historical Society sells a Berlin
Oh,
phone
I
book
think a new one should be coming out this year.
Yeah.
It's every 2 years, isn't
Yeah.
it?
next year.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
oh,
but it's,
next year.
it's also for people who do this, it's also online.
I don't have a computer.
Town of Berlin,
Yeah.
you gotta
Right.
speak with a neighbor who has a
Yeah.
computer.
Where's the donation to Lori to put in?
I was just thinking put it in the,
One, right?
would it be too late though?
I don't know. I don't know
Where
what
is the
deadline
phone book available?
At the library.
Abby,
usually.
Abby's got some.
Yeah,
Also, is there a photostat machine
The
here?
bank used
that
to
we
have
can
them, I don't
use?
know if they have
that's
them.
right.
Abby, I just noticed Abby's got
Sit
one.
down the end. And if I have stuff, I have to go in to see Mary.
Okay,
and-
Mary who?
I can't allow.
Arata.
Arata. And she's very good about running things off for me.
But the other option would be to go to the library, they have a copy machine.
Oh, I go there too, that's where I got these.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And one last thing I've got to say is that if we're going to be committed to this, then we have to commit to it. And I'm just as guilty as the next person for not going to the council on aging meetings sometimes, because I forget, or I might not feel like it, or whatever, okay? But,
But you can't go to all of them, Judy.
no, but how many meetings,
There's one a month.
but, okay, but I'm talking about like, if, say they're putting on this, how many of you gonna go? I know, I probably wouldn't have gone, I'd just say, I'm gonna stay home tonight, you know? But if we commit to it, and we bring somebody with us, a friend, and say, hey, I'm going to this, you wanna go tonight? There you go.
2 o'clock, afternoon.
Oh, it's an
It's in
afternoon.
the
That's my
afternoon,
favorite.
Okay.
right?
There you go. But I think what I'm getting at is it deserves the commitment of all of us to attend each other's functions. Like if you're sponsoring something, the Council on Aging, I think all of us should plan on attending if we can. We can't always do it, but there's that level of commitment, you know? How
Okay,
committed are we?
The elephant in the room, which we haven't pacified yet, which still needs to be addressed, is where does funding come from, other than grants, other than town appropriations, et cetera, and who goes about that?
Sponsors, and looking for people to volunteer, to get sponsors. And like if,
Okay, it goes back to the question that I've raised before and that I hear people saying, is that the Berlin Seniors Group doesn't want to be the fundraiser for the Council on Aging. And yet, if they aren't the friends of the Council on Aging, then the Council on Aging has to stand up a group that is.
well, I think that's where we were going next anyway. What would the Council on Aging like to see happen? What are your objectives? Is it to try to get people to fundraise for you? So that you can see some of those things? Or do you want to combine our interests?
Well, what happens with, the Council on Aging cannot receive funds because it's not a tax exempt organization, but the Berlin Seniors can,
Okay.
which is how
Just raffle off a
Right.
some donations can come to senior activities that are provided by Council on Aging with Berlin Seniors.
So the Council on Aging comes to the seniors, goes to the library or whomever, okay, and says, we need money. Come up with an idea. Come up with an idea and we can all talk about it and maybe we can become fundraisers to that regard. And if it's their idea, their baby, they get their volunteers, whatever, we can help maybe to fundraise. What do you think?
I don't want to be limited to fundraising, and I'm afraid that's what would happen.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know,
And I don't think the Council on Aging is able to use their funds for anything other
Yeah,
than.
that's what I was just gonna ask.
program.
Where does, I mean, I hate to be really stupid here, but where does the Council on Aging get their money? All from the state? You can't raise any
From the
money
town.
yourself? Or the town?
Some from the town,
Yeah,
some from grants.
right.
yeah. So you can't go out and like have a bake
So
sale?
There's
and-
a small donation for the exercise programs, you know.
Yeah. That's what it is, but we, on the other hand, don't get it from anywhere, so we would have to go out and fundraise,
Yeah.
right? Is that the difference? I don't know, maybe
Well,
I'm
people can
missing.
make donations to
Yeah.
Right.
I don't donate too many.
Berlin Seniors.
We haven't
Why
got a
couldn't we
nonprofit
combine
status
our
anymore.
efforts
Yeah.
If we
and get some
made
support?
over $5,000,
Now we've got two
we
conversations
have
going on.
to
Yeah.
designate as a nonprofit, but we're not
That's
going
what
to
I remember,
make
that's true.
over 5,000 this year. If we were to, we would have to become a nonprofit.
Oh, I forgot, yeah.
IRS,
That has disappeared,
Designation.
right? So you don't have a nonprofit status now.
No,
we don't.
you don't have a number.
That's why fundraising would
Okay,
cost
forget
us-
all that, meeting's over.
No, I mean,
That was-
that's doable, because it's $600
So
to
we're
get
not gonna do it
reinstated.
now.
We're not gonna do it now,
No.
but I'm saying it is something that in the future, it's not unattainable. I mean, I'm just, you know what it is I see that the Council on Aging has, they're kind of boxed into a corner unless you can find some way that the state will pay for certain things that we're unaware of. Do you need a committee? Do you need a committee to go through this, to see exactly what kind of funds are available and?
I think we have all that written down, and what's available and what we can use it for.
Yeah.
And also, we can tap into the knowledge bank of the Massachusetts Councils on Aging,
Right.
who have strategies for achieving the goals that you set out. Transportation certainly being one. I mean, I just stumbled into several pages of information about how you go about getting your van service up and
Vans.
flying.
That's probably our priority, is
Okay.
transportation.
The transportation.
Yeah,
We
That's-
have people-
That's the immediate,
Yeah.
priority,
Yeah.
because we are very limited in where we can take people at this point.
Yeah.
Could we invite somebody from the state? That,
I think we're,
what's his name?
Everett,
Everett.
Clinton's having a program on how Council on Aging
Yep,
should
February,
work.
Is that the thing you sent down?
Could we have him come speak?
I don't know if he has time, but you can certainly ask him.
he's with the Department of Elder
Can other
Affairs.
people come to that meeting on March 4th?
I can inquire, Clinton has space for 20,
Mhm.
and I guess the director said that they have 4 signed up so far, but it's also open to other towns that want to come. I said in the note that I sent out to COA members is if you want, I didn't know if it was just limited to COA members. I should ask that.
Yeah, you should ask that.
And if it isn't, then certainly we can get in people from the Berlin seniors. But they are limited, they provide, you register at 8:45, lecture starts at 9. There's a little breakfasty stuff available. They break for lunch, and then it either goes till 2 or 3 or doesn't. Sometimes the guy can finish it up by midday.
Yeah, I think that if you could get somebody from the organization, that oversees all the councils on
Right.
aging, the elder affairs, whatever. I think if you could get them to come in and talk about, what you can do, what you're,
That's
just,
what he's gonna do.
yeah, I think that's really a good idea to have
You're going
somebody
to that,
come in
right?
and talk.
Yeah, I have to just check my work. I would like to go, but I'll have to get back. I still have to check my work schedule.
See, that's the problem with having young people on the Council on Aging, they all work.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I have a question, okay? Why can't we co-sponsor activities?
Well, that's
Why
They
can't we?
have
what
it,
I'm
they
saying.
did in the past. I mean, like the Council on Aging and the senior citizens co-sponsored a meeting up at the country club. And that's why the June meeting started to be held at the country club. And one of the things was that, well, because we charged dues, that was a problem, And the senior lunch supposedly is limited to members only, although we do have a few people that do come that are not members. They come for lunch and
They
that's
just pay for the lunch.
Yeah.
right, so if we stopped charging dues, right, and just plan programs for all the seniors in town.
Well, I mean, the fundraising you did would then be for programs as opposed to providing just the programs that the seniors
Seniors.
have been putting on. And the only reason you are charging dues is to fund programs that the seniors are putting on.
Right.
But if the two groups are working in concert, anybody can propose the programs, we put on the programs, and the funding comes from whatever the sources are, grants, town.
We have been
whatever.
inviting people to come. We got a few new members last year because we invited them to come to a program and they decided to join.
Yeah,
I mean, how much did we make in dues? About $400?
What do we have, 50, yeah, somewhere between $400 and $500.
This is a teeny bit of perspective, but the Friends of, they don't call them Friends of COA in Hudson, they call them Friends of the Senior Center. They have funded the renovations to the senior center. They funded tons of money for a van, and they're somehow ginning up a ton of money that they are able to put out there for projects that
Right, but where
enhance
does
the
the
senior
money come
center.
from? Does it come from dues to the?
I think it comes from the banks at night. I'm not sure exactly where it comes from.
Well, in Clinton, the Friends of the Senior
How,
Center, they
how do you spend money?
sell things like they.
How does the
big
Council
sale
of
that
Aging
they-
spend money?
It has
You
to
get
go
a
through
block
the
of money
town.
from the city. How do you spend it? What do you
has to go
spend it
through
on?
The town.
Excuse me?
The town pays for everything.
The
They
town,
use
okay,
the money that is allocated by the state for COA use becomes, a section of the town treasury. But anything we pay for is paid for by the town of Rome.
But he's asking,
And
who
what-
are we
what-
paying? Who are we paying?
What did you pay for, let's say this past fiscal
For
year?
the yoga and Tai Chi
Classes, yeah.
classes, yeah.
Right.
Did you pay for like a luncheon that the Council
We
of
have
Aging put on?
2 or 3 luncheons a year, 3.
Is it
Right,
three?
It's Christmas and the summer
luncheon
one.
and-
And yeah, that's what they
So
pay
the
for.
Summer luncheon, yeah.
And those were, I think Holly said that the charge from the caterer was like $16 or 16 and a half. And
Yeah,
there was
there's
no
a
charge to
specific
the people
amount
eating.
per senior.
Well, it was for the COA luncheon that Holly put on, and she did over at Northbrook too.
Right.
But the per person cost was more than twice what the seniors' cost is.
Yeah,
I don't
was-
think you could commingle the funds that we have with your funds.
I don't think we can.
No.
No.
But that
They
doesn't
come from
prohibit
different
us from,
sources. That doesn't
you know,
mean we couldn't
on
do
something like this.
Yeah.
Right, individually sponsored.
Right.
Because, COA might be able to pay for the
And-
meal and the seniors pay for the program.
The seniors are promoting this program. It may be a program that we put on, we fund, or else we get like this group here, they find the money through the cultural council.
Right.
Right.
But I don't think we could have an event where you write a check for so much, and then
Oh,
we
yeah,
write a check for so
yeah.
much.
We have no check. We have no
Yeah.
Oh,
check.
yeah, right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The town would
Yeah.
write the check.
And that has to be okayed by the town.
Oh, yeah, that has to go through.
Yeah,
Everything.
Peggy turns in a list of bills that have to be paid
Right.
to the town, and the town cuts the checks on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anybody know anything about the Cultural Council? I mean, outside of the fact that they've given us grants for these different programs, but when I fill out the applications for a grant, it says, will you be charging a fee for admittance or, whatever? Will they allow for something like that whereby they would get their money back? I don't know how it works, but if, so that we could maybe make money on it?
They just give you less money. If you charge $2 a head for a program, and you ask for $500, you have to show that you're also going to raise $500 for the program. Or if you don't, you have less chance of them agreeing to give you the money.
Right.
But you should talk to some of the members, they're local members.
I should, because you know what? I mean, just say, for example, like the Council on Aging, wanted to have, you can't raise funds, but you wanted to help sponsor, okay,
Something,
there's
yeah.
ways around this,
Yeah.
help sponsor with the Berlin seniors, a mystery dinner theater, something like that, okay?
Mhm.
You have a mystery dinner theater, I go to the Cultural Council and I ask them, we want to charge an admittance fee, okay? And is it possible that we can actually raise funds for this and
But then the question would be,
share it
yeah, or,
with all the groups that have helped us
I think it's a grant and that's, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But I
No,
wonder
that's
if you
someone who
could,
knows.
so you get a grant, we got a grant for the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah,
All right, what would keep us from selling desserts or something like
Yeah,
that?
or
I've seen that
coffee
happen.
and hot chocolate.
Right, I mean, we charge for the lunch, but that goes directly to pay for the lunch.
Yeah.
It's not a fundraiser.
yeah, no.
Right,
Doesn't even pay for dessert.
right.
No.
We
Just kidding, Judy.
no, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about what she had to
Right.
say.
Right, I don't know, maybe you could do that.
Maybe you could
Right.
even get, like, say, the general store and eatery to cater, and we'll pay for the costs, and then do it so that we can make money off of just the food.
I think we need to get into the details on that and find out what we can and can't do, what's allowed, what isn't. And-
Yeah, because that would
As well
allow,
with the cultural council.
Mm-hmm.
What do they, if they're gonna provide some funds, can you then piggyback on that and raise more funds and keep it? Or do you have to give it back to them
yeah,
because it's in
if
excess
I
of the
find out
cost?
that there's a glut of information, I'll invite them to come talk to us, how's that? The cultural council, so that they can tell us just,
That's a good idea.
So has the Council on Aging ever provided an entertainment program for the seniors? For all seniors and not our, you know?
Not that I know
Yeah,
of.
not that.
Right.
well,
since I've been
you
on.
guys can apply for cultural council grants, right?
I'm not sure.
Oh, well, let's
You know?
find out,
Yeah, I would think we
let's
could.
find out.
Can the library get a grant to do a program, or did they get a grant through you?
By you, do you mean the Friends?
Friends, you talk about friends.
No, I'm talking about the library, which is
library.
a town-funded organization. Can they apply for a grant?
Yes.
From the Council on
Yes,
Aging?
the children's librarian this year applied for a grant from the Cultural Council for 3 programs. And the library worked with this organization. The library said, okay, we'll sponsor you. Now, Two Human, you have to put in this application for a grant. And so at the conclusion of this, I'll have the reimbursement form for Two Human, and I'll pass it to them when they leave. And they
Yeah.
get a check from actually from the town.
Right, but is it through the Friends? Do you see what I mean? Can the town apply for these grants from Council on Aging, or does it have to be in a group like the Friends of the Library?
Oh, no, because the library is under the town.
Right, that's,
Yeah, they've applied for it.
By that token, I would seem to think that it would be perfectly legal for you to do the same, but I will find out.
Something we should find out.
but I don't know, like,
Ralph.
if you could apply for a grant, and we could apply for the same grant, so we put our money together, or you didn't.
No, I don't
doubt
think,
they would do
I would
a
think
grant.
they would have,
Yeah,
they
we can
would,
do that.
their organization would apply, just like Judy's supplied for the senior citizens, and
Right.
she got 3 grants.
Right.
And the library got 3 grants. And the library also had another vendor submit an application for a program. So there are 4 programs this coming year that the library will have from the Cultural Council. And what happens is the Cultural Council will only give them so much money. And if there's a little difference, the Friends make that up.
Okay, we've gone on about an hour and a quarter. We probably will have,
We're getting somewhere.
yeah, that's good. And next week, we have the seniors monthly meeting and the Council on Aging monthly meeting, and we can discuss it among ourselves and dish on the other group. Just kidding. Continue the conversation and find out more information.
Yeah, I'll call their phone. And I'll ask her. You know, there's a lot of things we don't know about you. And you want to find out. Inquiring minds.
Yeah.
What did I do about the other?
of this.
Okay, so
They used to send them to me, but I was on.
I'm gonna try to make Thursdays.
I used to get the electronic.
No, the copy
Next
machine
Thursday.
at the library.
But I
gonna tell
have-
you.
Well, I think it should really be
But,
here. I mean,
Really?
It's a,
Yeah, I don't know
it's
where-
a town
Do
function.
you realize how close I am to
And-
getting
We need a
licensed?
motion to adjourn.
And very close, but I have to have.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Right.
Before I can be
All in favor?
licensed.
Opposed? So
But
voted.
I meant
Driving.
you're here.